What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more GodForge. Now, we're going to be getting into something very different for this week's Friday leaks. And I'm actually really excited because just as much as the characters are important, the setting that the characters are in are just as, if not even more important, because that's going to tie everything all together. So we're going to be looking at the Mesoamerican style setting oriented stuff. I'm going to be kind of breaking this down a little bit more because this is going to be kind of potentially almost hinting at some potential units or I would say champions that we might be seeing in the game. Now, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Of course, as always, shout out to the Fateless team, the GodForge team, for allowing us this opportunity. But let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Now, it's really interesting that one of the areas here that we're going to be seeing depicted is the Mesoamerican oriented style, buildings, for example, in this first picture, right? Now, what's really cool is that there's a couple of different things that just immediately pointed out, or I would say stuck out to me, right? Now, obviously, they go to show here that they're trying to kind of have some of that, just that kind of old and wear and tear, that orange fungus, that thick moss there. That means that this is like ancient, right? It's just kind of showcasing that. Now, what's really cool too is that they're also showing like the architectural design here. So like the extruded line that they have here for the snakes, and just like the symmetry that they have, the graphism, the front, the back view, the side view. So they're really honestly trying to make it to where these things are really predominant in the scene, right? Now, the other thing that's a really, really important piece of information here for me was the snake head sculpture. Now, the reason why I felt like this was so important was because the snake head is actually a very, very important representation in Mesoamerican, I would say, like history, which basically the snake head in a lot of cases represented I would say a pretty fairly well-known and pretty predominant, I would say, deity that is known against just amongst in Western culture, which is Quetzalcoatl, I think it is. And that is basically the feathered snake god, essentially, right? So, or serpent, as they usually translate it. It's like serpent versus snake god, but you kind of get where I'm going with that. So the fact that they're emphasizing these snake head sculptures being shown, because they had a lot of other things that were depicted in their different buildings that they made. But this definitely is going to be kind of hinting at that, at least for me. Again, this isn't, anything official. It's just what I do as far as speculation. So I think that that's going to be really cool. Of course, the red paint, another traditional factor that just kind of is like, again, another minor detail, but just kind of having it all put together just kind of shows the emphasis of detail that they're trying to have as far as even accurately depicting the settings. Now, we got a ton more to get into, right? For example, the snake head sculpture. So they have the orthographic views, I guess, of this. And the crazy thing is that, like, even when you're looking at the real life reference, it's very close to, what it looked like in real life, right? Now, the other thing too that this also is kind of tying in is you start talking about Mesoamerican, you're looking at like Mayan, Aztec, you start kind of looking more into those cultures. And so that's something that I feel like, again, this is just kind of the start, right? Like, so we're not even at the tip of the iceberg yet. Like, we're just kind of getting a generalized idea as far as what, one of the potential settings will be, because we already know there's a ton of other factions that are existing in the game. And just seeing that this is going to be one of the places is just really, really cool. Now, of course, they have the Mesoamerican pyramid. I can actually vouch that this is pretty accurate. Like, this is definitely pretty accurate. And of course, I'm actually kind of wondering how this is going to play into the story, because each place is like, especially like considering, each of these are different cultures. It's not just different cultures, but it's also different time periods, right? So some of these places are depicted in, BC, some are AD, some are, it's a lot of different things. And depending on what pieces of the timeline that they decide to pick, that can also vary what the places might look like, whether it was in its prime versus after it's now been abandoned or, desolate, right? So considering that they have some of these like wear and tear oriented things with the moss and, different things that we've seen like in the first picture here. Sorry, yeah, go back. Like the orange fungus and things of that nature. Not to say that they didn't have those things, but I know when they, first built these things, they weren't like aged in that way, right? Like, because those things kind of come from being and sitting and not having any sort of like cleaning or any of that happening. Like, it's just nature and air and animals just kind of festering around these things for years and years and years and years and years. Now, a cool thing that they actually did with this too is that they're actually kind of giving us a dimension, right? And really sizing in within that dimension. So they're showing us here like a normal building. What does that kind of consist of as far as like, the sizing, right? So normal building to a tall building to now the pyramid, right? And you kind of see that is a significant size difference. Like, it's a significant size difference. So again, that's going to be things that we'll probably see in the setting, if not in the background. Now, they also have here the mechanical totem calendar. Of course, one thing that probably like popped in a lot of people's head is like the Mayan calendar, right? But this is actually pretty cool because, again, this is another huge reference to Mesoamerican, just essentially like just the tribal culture and stuff like that. So they basically have a reference here, which is also going to still be showing like the orange fungus, etc. Still with the symbolism of the snake head sculpture, which again, I'm telling you, it's Quetzalcoatl. I feel like it really is. But each cylinder can rotate independently, and the totem is kind of a moving calendar system. So again, this is kind of a clear telltale on the people and just really what type of characters we're going to be possibly getting, because obviously they're going to be characters that are using these systems still, right? That this would be relevant to. You have like the intruding and extruding holes here, just again, which is a part of that totem calendar system, which is like really, really cool to see. So the attention to detail, I will say, is pretty vast. And this is making me really intrigued in seeing like what the story components are going to be for each character and how they tie in the locations. Is it going to be like, based off of each location within this specific game? Or is it going to tie into some, external places and kind of leading them into those specific locations? So I'm just interested in that altogether. Now, of course, we have the Pakal relief sculpture. Now, I'm not really too familiar with who this is, but again, I think that this was a deity. I'm pretty sure it was, if not a great leader, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember which one of the two, because when you just have so much information in your head, it does kind of get mixed up sometimes. But other than that, you still have like that orange fungus, that thick moss here, and then they're obviously showcasing here that they're going to have like the texturing for the smooth stone bricks, etc. Some slime as well. And of course, like that green moss. So they're really, honestly, like I said, just really being super attentive to detail. Now, there's another thing that they've been doing that I don't think I've really mentioned yet, is that I'm assuming that this character standing here is for sizing. So this is to give you reference of like the character model sizing up against some of these figures or these buildings and things of that nature. So that's, I think, what that actually is. Okay. Yeah, I think I was right. Yep. So yeah, you got the Mesoamerican walls as well. So they're just kind of breaking down everything. The attention to detail is going to be very high. Considering this is just one of the places, I'm really, really excited to see what everything else is going to look like. So we're seeing, again, the wall connector, the side view. This is like wall 2, for example, still showcasing that orange fungus and just kind of keeping that continuity there, red paint, etc. And so then, of course, we have the Sebel's line graphisms. And this is basically going to be, again, that symmetrical kind of like, I would say just tribal designs that they just kind of had all over the place, right? Like whether it been on the buildings or on pottery or on their clothing. These are going to be some of the things that will probably be, I would say even put on characters to be able to better identify where or what faction they might be, correlated to, or region they might be correlated to as well. So even seeing the real life inspirations, it's really cool because they, again, kind of are like keeping that originality to what they look like in real life, but still creating their own variation of it, which is really nice, right? And so, yeah, this is really, really sick to see that they're going to be having some real life references depicted in the game, right? Now, of course, we also have the Mesoamerican tall building. We've seen the pyramid, but this is the tall building. Now, it has the Cebu faction flag. So this, of course, is really important to note because this is one of the factions within the game. We have the mini garden, and then, of course, we have cobblestone. Now, again, this is showing you that they're utilizing different resources to be able to establish or build up these different buildings, right? Like everything else we've kind of seen was something else, but it's also referring to like the broken parts that you're able to visibly see. It's going to be showcasing or showing that cobblestone. Now, of course, again, they give us a little bit more color here, so we kind of even get a little bit more texture in that regard. And even just seeing kind of that wear and tear is definitely more natural, more outside, outdoorsy, just more nature oriented, which is a really, really nice piece of detailing to have. Of course, they have the thatched hut, which, again, this is another really important thing. You'll see this a lot in a lot of different civilizations where they'll basically will use, roping or some sort of like a hay. It's not always hay, but it's basically like straw, hay. Like it just kind of varies based off of where the place is. And they basically will make different things, whether it be like, for example, here, huts, or even sometimes their homes are made out of this, right? So this is basically something that it looks like they're using to have placed on nearby walls or buildings. And that's probably going to give more of that tribal tie-in as well for the visual, for the setting. So that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Now, of course, I think that this might be one of the last things here. We have the ceramic pottery. So for those of you guys that don't know, I actually went to art school. It's funny because I feel like every video you guys are like, wait, what? He did this too? Yeah, I've done a lot of things in life. Like, cause I just, again, I'm a very artistic person. So video games, art, all that stuff kind of connect, I guess, right? So I went to art school, and one of the main things that I did was actually ceramics, right? So again, this is really, really cool to see because you kind of can see the attention to detail, but then also to the aging, right? Now the thing is that when you're looking at these ceramic pottery, they're going to obviously be aged or fractured or cracked because if they've just been sitting outside, like, kind of thinking about like the actual scenario, if they're sitting outside, weather, if something ran into it, even just the wear and tear of the material, like the clay and the things that we might use today was very different from then. So even just that wear and tear, these things will sometimes just happen just over time anyway, right? Where you'll see cracks and things of that nature, fading maybe. So we're kind of seeing that being depicted. Of course, they're doing the size comparison, which is, of course, really important because you don't want things that should be the size of like, something that could be held in the palm of your hand to be the size of like Hercules, right? So again, really, really important attention to detail. And I'm really honestly loving like everything that I'm seeing so far when we're talking about those very, very, very minor, very simplistic, and very, very, I would say, high attentive things to detail, attentive nature to detail that Fateless is having as far as creating these different things, right, within these settings. Okay, guys, so that's basically that with this. This is all we have for this week's Friday Leaks. Again, I'm always really excited for this type of stuff because it's just giving us even more into the mind behind the team, right, and seeing like where their mind is as far as the level of detail that they want to present, that they want to give. It's always really nice to see these types of things because this means that they really are taking this serious. They really are trying to give us a really quality product, and even seeing the graphic quality, just being able to see the 3D rendering when that time does come and seeing these things in game, it's just going to be really cool because we're going to be able to refer back to some of these concept arts and sketches that we're seeing now, and just being able to point out those things and seeing it executed, officially in the game was just going to be so sick. But that's going to be that with this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys all have an amazing day, weekend. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right.